It's day 3. And I, the Red Ranger... I don't know why I'm pure red. Look at me. I have been prattling around with Boulder because of the cooldown reductions that I can get from Nature's Fury key passives trigger a free skill. It reduces your cooldowns by 8 seconds. Well, Boulder, I got down to 9 seconds on the cooldown. And I've reached a bit of an issue with it. I can't hit anything. I'm triggering that many boulders that I'm pushing almost everything away from me. When I say almost, there are some enemies that are immune to the pushback or the knockback effects. But I've had to stop using it because it's pushing everything back so horrendously that the more cooldown reduction I get, the worse it becomes. I've got to the point where I honestly think that Boulder needs to be reevaluated. It needs to be changed and nerfed massively. With the knockback effect, I think it needs to be redesigned. I don't think that it should continue to be what it is. I think they need to change it so that it rolls through enemies and doesn't knock them back, and then explodes or something on impact or something after a X amount of seconds. Where instead of doing a knockback, it does like a stun or something. I don't know. But with how much I can spam Boulder, there's one major problem that I've come across that actually makes it incredibly bad. And I feel like I need to talk about that in this video. It's not horrendous, though it is bad, for me to be using it in dungeons and content where there's a lot of walls, right? But out in the open, out in the world, if there's no walls to knock them into, you push them back so much and so often that you can't do any damage. Like, it's just like AoE things. And the tornado, you keep like pushing them away from the tornadoes. And it's got to the point where the Boulder skill itself has become so detrimental that it's actually better for me to not use the ability full on, flat out. I cannot use Boulder under any circumstance whilst using Nature's Fury. Now, there is a slight issue in the fact that I still use Hurricane. Not because of the damage that it does or anything, it's because it applies an on-hit slow. And the on-hit slow effect increases my earth damage. As long as the enemy is immobilized, slowed, stunned, my earth abilities do more damage. So that becomes worse because I've knocked the enemy away from me, so I'm not even applying slow. I can't do damage to these targets. But the biggest issue that I've found, let's say that I'm with a Sork friend. Let me just turn this down just a little bit. Let's say that I'm with a Sork friend, and that Sork friend is using Flame Wall. I then come along with my spam heavy Boulder.
You better have the ransom we were promised.
And I knock every enemy out of the wall effect, right? So I'm now not only making my damage worse, but I'm making my friend's damage worse. Because I'm now knocking the enemies out of the AoE of my friend's damage. And the only thing that I could think of is Boulder was not tested by Blizzard. It just wasn't tested. I think Blizzard rushed out quite a lot, in all fairness. I think that all of the Druid ultimates are pretty shit as well. But that's different. I'm not going to talk about the ultimates. But I do genuinely think that Boulder needs to be redesigned. Not so much the boulder itself, but the knockback effect of the boulder, alright? I think the knockback needs to be adjusted quite horrendously. And the reason why it's so bad is because it's so spammable. Like, it's... Actually, was that... here you go. Because of how often I was spamming it every half second. Like, it was a boulder, 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 boulder. And I had to stop myself from using it, because I just couldn't hit anything. So yeah, I can no longer justify using boulder. In all fairness, I don't really want to use Hurricane, because it has the chance to activate Boulder, as it just did, right? I don't know. Like, the knockback of Boulder needs to be adjusted. That's all I'm saying. They need to redesign Boulder. I don't think there's buts or if buts or maybes about it. It has to be redesigned. It's not healthy for the game. In both the solo experience and a multiplayer experience. If I'm with friends, my boulder will innately make their damage worse. And I find that hilarious. I shouldn't be discouraged from using an ability. And yet I am. So, yeah. You're not going to see me use Boulder under any circumstance on any build from this point forward. It is too detrimental. Too detrimental. Yeah. Over the next few days, I'm going to be experimenting with all different kinds of abilities. At the moment, I'm just experimenting with Blood Howl. Though Blood Howl does work innately by itself, it's pretty good. I don't need the spirit generation that Blood Howl gives, because I'm already generating so much spirit anyway. Another thing that I've noticed that a lot of people are talking about is Druid's generation. Like, their spirit generation is too small. Am I the only person that's figured it out? Am I the only person that has found how to make Druid's spirit generation work in my favor? Everybody else is struggling. I don't quite understand how people are actually struggling to keep their spirit meter up. I must just be a fucking gaming god or something, I don't know. But, no, I don't have any problems with spirit. I think spirit is actually perfectly fine. And I wasn't, like, looking up guides. This is all self-taught. I didn't look up a single guide. So it's kind of weird how something as obvious as spirit generation was easy for me to learn and understand, and yet everybody else is struggling. But either way. But yeah, Boulder is something that they are definitely going to have to redesign. It can't continue to be that way as an ability. I will go on record and say this. I think Boulder is the worst skill in this entire game. And the reason why is not because of its damage output or anything like that. It's because it makes other people's builds worse. Not only does it make my build bad, But if I'm playing with someone else, their build becomes worse being with me. That's horrendous, dude. Like, did Blizzard just not test Boulder before putting it in the game? Either that, or Nature's Fury is just too powerful. And I can't say that because they'll fucking nerf it. I will genuinely say this. I don't think there's anything wrong with Nature's Fury. I don't think there's anything wrong with Nature's Fury. I think the entire problem stems from Boulder. Yeah. Who's messaging me? Hello, Bramble. Who the fuck's messaging me? Stop it. Can you hear that on the recording? I have no idea. Oh, what's going on? What? Someone messages me and my game goes off? What? Go, go, Power Rangers. Do, 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 do. Go, go, Power Rangers. What's going to happen with that then? Does it disconnect me from the map? Did I die? The instance closed. Just as I was about to kill the boss. It was here. That's where the instance was. I think. Or was it that one? Either way. The instance crashed. I guess they heard me complaining about Boulder. Let's go to that instance. This favor stuff is probably the easiest to farm. Instead of running around the maps over and over, just go to the fucking instances that have got the favors.
I have to find the ring, but how to get
it? But yeah, I think from this point forward, Blizzard have to redesign it. I think there's the innate problems with that move is the knockback itself, because it affects other people's play as well. I honestly think that they should just get rid of Boulder and replace it with something else that does like an explosion or something. I don't know, like it throws rocks out in all directions. That does like a knockback or something. I think that is probably actually better. The reason why I know that it was an instance crash and not a reset or rollback, I still got to keep all the stuff that dropped. So the instance crashed. That's how I know. In case you was wondering. How does he know it? Like, because I got to keep all my stuff.
Wouldn't have made it without me.
That kind of sucks that it crashed on the boss, just as I was about to kill it. One of the things that people are talking about at the moment with this game is the amount of crowd control that the enemy has. Like, they just have too much crowd control. I don't have a problem with it. There is, however, only one crowd control effect that I think needs to be redesigned. And that's the one that robs you of your sight. The one that puts you in like a bubble thing and you can't see anything. The issue that I have with it is that it, whilst you're inside that, you can't attack. You can't use your abilities. The issue that I have is not with it robbing my sight. It's the fact that it disables your abilities. Why? You should never be disabling the abilities of players. Like, robbing them of their sight is one thing, but robbing them of the ability to use their abilities is something completely different. I think that needs to be changed. That's the only CC that I disagree with. Everything else is perfectly fine.
My savior.
I'll say that I'm not too keen on the shrines doing this as well. Because it just slows you down. It doesn't add anything. It just makes your fucking run slower. And you gotta stand around waiting. It's up to you at that point. You could just leave it and walk away, but... Well, what if I want the shrine? Look how slow they come out. Like, one enemy. What the fuck? Like, spawn loads. Like, 10s to fucking 50s to 100s or something. Fucking give me way more enemies than 3 at a time. You know what I mean? Oh, am I full already? I am. I really only should be picking up things that are sacred. Because they're the ones that have got all the extra added bonuses.
Dearest.
I'll say this about Boulder. Tornado or landslide. I like Tornado more. I'll say this about Boulder. It's funny. That's what I can get from Boulder, is that it's funny. It's just shit, but it's funny. I think that's like Boulder's only redeeming factor. Is the fact that it is funny. Thought I was stuck then. Right next to it. Sweet. 2 more and then I get the glyph socket. Oh, hello. Oh no. Oh no. My character did that fucking weird thing. Don't disconnect me again, you son of a bitch. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you drop me again. Cool. Okay. Conclusion. Boulder's funny, but it needs to be fucking reworked. Oh, see you in the next video.